Waffles seem innocent, golden, crisp, and ready to top with syrup. But for seniors, the convenience of frozen or prepackaged waffles can hide shocking health risks. Excess sodium, hidden sugars, and chemical preservatives can spike blood pressure, strain kidneys, and interfere with medications. Today, we reveal 9 waffle brands to avoid at all costs, and 2 that are genuinely safe. Starting off at number 9, the freezer king itself, Eggo Waffles. They've ruled breakfast aisles for decades with that easy "Lego my Eggo" slogan. The pitch is simple: pop it in the toaster, and in 2 minutes you've got golden, crispy comfort. But comfort turns sour when you look closer at what's really packed inside that box. What's hiding in that freezer box? The promise is convenience, but the reality is a cocktail of high fructose corn syrup, preservatives, and sodium levels that could blow through a senior's safe daily intake before the morning news even starts. Each serving can carry over 400 milligrams of sodium. That may not sound like much on its own, but stack 2 or 3 waffles together with syrup, and you're past 1,200 milligrams before you've had coffee. That's nearly half the recommended daily sodium limit for older adults in one sitting. But here's the real shocker. Inspectors have flagged mold in storage before, showing that what looks like a golden waffle on the outside can hide stale spores beneath the surface. Picture the warm, sweet aroma wafting from the toaster. Now add the faint, musty edge of something left too long in a damp warehouse. It's not the family breakfast you thought you were serving. It's a science experiment in disguise. And it does not stop there. That high fructose corn syrup? It spikes blood sugar and adds empty calories with zero nutritional payoff. For seniors managing diabetes, kidney issues, or blood pressure meds, it's not just a sweetener, it's a hidden threat that can push blood sugar through the roof and send blood pressure readings soaring. You might think you're eating nostalgia, but your body knows it's under stress. A whistleblower once joked on a staff forum that Eggo smells like sugar and cardboard when it comes off the truck. Not exactly the marketing line Kellogg's wants you to hear. And yet it matches what's inside. A processed product built to last months on a shelf, not to nourish a human body. So here's the solution. If you love the quick breakfast routine, toast whole grain waffles instead and top them with fresh fruit. A handful of blueberries or sliced banana gives you natural sweetness, fiber, and antioxidants without the salt bomb or chemical hit. It takes the same time but gives your body fuel instead of stress. That quick breakfast could put your heart on overtime, but Eggo isn't the only one selling golden lies. At number 8, Aunt Jemima, the classic that aged badly. The branding whispers nostalgia, family kitchens, and warm syrup on Sunday mornings. But peel back the golden crust, and what you actually get is a chemical cake dressed up in comfort food clothes. Comfort food or chemical cake? That's the real question here. These waffles are marketed as wholesome, yet they're stuffed with artificial flavorings, corn syrup, and sugar levels that would make a donut blush. One serving can pack over 8 grams of sugar and a sodium hit of nearly 300 milligrams. For a senior juggling blood pressure meds or diabetes control, that combination is like pulling the rug out from under your own health. And the betrayal runs deep. The box looks trustworthy, with its promise of classic taste, but the golden waffle itself carries a faint, chemical aftertaste that clings to your tongue long after the sweetness fades. It's the kind of flavor that feels engineered in a lab, not baked in a kitchen. A former grocery stocker once quipped that frozen waffles smell like cardboard until you burn them, and that sad truth isn't far off. The bright golden exterior that toasts up so evenly? It's masking additives that your body doesn't recognize as food. Over time, those additives stress the liver and kidneys. Seniors, especially those with heart concerns, aren't just eating breakfast. They're fueling conditions they're already fighting. And when you stack a couple of these waffles together, pour syrup, and call it a meal, the sugar rush slams the bloodstream while sodium squeezes the heart harder. That's not nostalgia, it's sabotage. Would you still trust the classic label if you knew it was built on artificial ingredients? Or would you finally admit the taste feels more like a chemical steam bath than a comforting bite? Here's the fix. If you like waffles for breakfast, make a fresh batter at home. It doesn't have to be fancy. Rolled oats, a little yogurt, and a splash of honey can give you a hearty, natural waffle in the same time it takes to toast the frozen stuff. Add fresh berries on top and you get sweetness, fiber, and vitamins without the chemical baggage. Nostalgia never tasted this fake. Most people never learn which waffles could be silently harming their health, but we'll break it down at the end of the video. Number 7 brings us Kodiak, the protein-packed wolf in waffles clothing. The marketing screams health, strength, and energy. The box shows rugged mountains and promises fuel for your day. But peel back the branding, and you're left with something very different. Protein power or sugar trap? That's the real story. These waffles claim to be fitness-friendly, yet a single serving can hold 8 to 10 grams of sugar. That's the same sugar hit you'd get from dunking cookies in your morning coffee. Seniors trying to protect their kidneys or control diabetes aren't getting strength here. They're getting a spike that works against their medication. And it doesn't stop there. Whistleblowers on staff forums have described a constant issue with uneven cooking. The crisp exterior fools you, but bite in too fast and you'll find a gummy, half-cooked mess inside. Sweet sludge hidden in the core. It's like eating syrup-soaked dough that never set. One ex-employee joked it was a protein shake trapped inside a waffle suit. Funny, until you realize it's also a bacteria risk if storage slips. But here's the kicker. When brands like Kodiak market protein power, people trust the label. Seniors think they're making a smart choice. Yet the hidden sugars pile stress on the pancreas and kidneys. The sodium, often over 200 milligrams per waffle, quietly pushes blood pressure upward. Put that on a plate every morning and you've got a health time bomb ticking under the syrup. Why do healthy labels always hide sugar? It's because the sweetness keeps you hooked. The body craves the rush, even as it suffers the side effects. It's the same trick soda companies use, masking harm behind taste. Europe bans certain additives still allowed in the US, and yet here we are selling waffles as if the mountain logo alone makes them safe. There's a better fix. Skip the frozen box and make your own protein breakfast that doesn't backfire. A bowl of Greek yogurt with oats and berries gives you protein, probiotics, and fiber. No sludge, no chemical aftertaste, no hidden sugar traps. And it actually works with your body instead of against it. That protein punch comes with a sugar sucker punch. Isn't it strange how brands labeled healthy or protein-packed often contain hidden sugars that can harm seniors? And if sugar sludge wasn't enough, the next one comes with bacteria on top. Coming in at number 6, Vans, the gluten-free brand with a dirty history. The label whispers wholesome, safe, and allergen-friendly. But the truth? Gluten-free doesn't mean germ-free. These waffles have been tied to recalls for listeria contamination, a bacteria that can turn a warm breakfast into a cold hospital bed. The betrayal runs deep. Seniors reach for Vans, thinking they're protecting themselves from gluten, only to face something much worse. A toasted, nutty aroma drifts out of the toaster, but behind that scent hides an invisible hitchhiker. Listeria isn't something you can smell or taste. It's the silent killer of packaged foods. For younger, healthier folks, it might pass as food poisoning. For seniors with weakened immune systems, heart conditions, or kidney problems, it can be deadly. Gluten-free doesn't mean germ-free. That's the shocker most people don't think about when they hear the pop of the toaster. And it's not just the recalls. Staff forums have pointed to sloppy storage in warehouses, where frozen boxes sat in questionable conditions. One worker bluntly wrote that pallets were left sweating in the heat before they ever hit freezers. Think about that, bacteria breeding before the product even reaches your cart. But here's the real danger. Seniors trust the healthy branding, and they pay the price. One serving already carries around 260 milligrams of sodium. Stack on preservatives, and you've got a recipe that spikes blood pressure and interferes with meds. Add listeria on top, and suddenly, the safe choice is anything but. So how do you fix it? Skip the freezer aisle altogether when it comes to Vans. If you need gluten-free, head to a local bakery that prepares small-batch waffles fresh, or make your own with gluten-free oats and almond flour. You control the ingredients. You control the safety. No mystery storage, no bacteria roulette. This waffle could toast your health for real. Want to stay ahead of hidden food dangers? Hit subscribe now so you never get blindsided by what's actually on your plate. Number 5. Birch Benders, the all-natural waffle that isn't. The box paints a picture of clean eating, rustic flavors, and a back-to-basics breakfast. But peel back the label, and it's more like a salt mine in disguise. Natural? Not when the sodium hits your bloodstream. The betrayal is sharp. Seniors trust all natural, thinking it means safe, simple, and good for the body. Yet Birch Benders waffles can pack over 350 milligrams of sodium per waffle. Double up for a serving and you're already near 3/4 of the recommended daily sodium limit for older adults. For someone on blood pressure meds, that's like tossing gasoline on a fire. The sensory lie makes it worse. Out of the toaster, these waffles look harmless, crispy golden squares that smell faintly sweet. But one bite leaves a chemical afterburn that lingers, like salty film coating your tongue. That isn't nature. That's processed mix and hidden salt posing as health food. But here's the real shocker. Nutrition labels don't even stay consistent. Ingredient lists have been flagged for changes between batches, confusing customers, and masking what's actually inside. Reports have mentioned discrepancies in sugar and sodium amounts depending on the package. In plain terms, you can't trust what's printed on the box. Seniors who already juggle medications for heart or kidney issues can't afford that gamble. Sodium overload strains kidneys, raises blood pressure, and undermines the very drugs meant to protect you. And yet the packaging beams with phrases like all natural and better for you breakfast. If that's better, I'd hate to see worse. So what's the fix? Ditch the freezer aisle and bake your own small batch. Use a low-sodium mix, fold in oats for fiber, and top with fresh fruit. It's faster than waiting in a clinic for your blood pressure to settle back down. And unlike Birch Benders, you'll know exactly what's on your plate. That natural label is just marketing salt water. And if sodium isn't enough, preservatives pack the next mix. Segment 4. Waffle House Frozen Mixes. At number 4, Waffle House. The restaurant taste you don't want at home. The brand sells nostalgia, a late-night diner plate turned into a box you can keep in the freezer. But what actually comes out isn't comfort. It's chemicals dressed up as waffles. Restaurant quality? More like lab experiment. The mix is loaded with preservatives to stretch shelf life, plus over 350 milligrams of sodium in a single waffle. Stack 2 on your plate and you've swallowed nearly a third of the recommended sodium limit for the day. For seniors on blood pressure medication, that's no small number. It's a recipe for trouble. The batter doesn't even smell like batter. Crack the package, and instead of warm vanilla, you get a cloud of chemical steam. It's sharp, almost metallic, the opposite of the buttery scent you'd expect at a real Waffle House booth. Even after toasting, the flavor can't hide it. The crisp shell gives way to a salty aftertaste that burns down the throat. Seniors who depend on low-sodium diets face the worst risk. High sodium intake strains the kidneys, undermines the effectiveness of medication, and can cause spikes in blood pressure that lead to dizziness, swelling, or worse. Yet the box still tries to pass itself off as diner comfort. That's not breakfast, it's a health hazard waiting on a plate. Staff forums have even joked about how these frozen mixes taste like a science project. When employees themselves compare waffles to chemicals, you know something's off. And if you think it's just exaggeration, remember, many preservatives used in US packaged mixes are either restricted or outright banned in Europe. That's not coincidence. It's because long-term exposure has been tied to health risks regulators abroad won't ignore. So skip the freezer aisle and cook real Waffle House-style batter from scratch. Flour, eggs, milk, and a touch of vanilla. It takes minutes, costs less per serving, and doesn't leave you with a chemical hangover. Pair it with fruit for natural sweetness instead of pouring more sodium into your body. That mix is nostalgia sprayed with chemicals. Why do you think some frozen breakfast brands continue using chemicals banned in other countries? Sliding in at number 3, Power Cakes, the protein pitch with a sugar punch. The box flexes hard. Muscles, mountains, words like fuel stamped across the packaging. It screams health, but peel back the wrapper and you'll see it's closer to a candy bar than a clean protein meal. Protein or candy bar? That's the real question. Each serving sneaks in around 11 grams of sugar. That's almost 3 teaspoons hiding in something that's sold as fitness food. Mix in artificial flavorings, and suddenly the so-called fuel looks a lot more like dessert in disguise. The chocolate-scented steam that rises when it toasts? It smells rich, almost comforting, but it's masking a syrupy overload. Bite in, and the waffle feels gummy at the core, like sweet sludge wrapped in a crisp shell. The texture tells you the truth before the label ever does. For seniors, this is more than just false advertising. High sugar intake can spike blood glucose in minutes. Add in the fact that many older adults take medications for diabetes or kidney problems, and you've got a dangerous mix. Sugar that high throws the body into chaos, sudden fatigue, dizziness, and in the long run, worsened kidney strain. And yet the brand keeps selling it as health fuel. Reports have surfaced from staff forums about how the recipe is designed more for taste than balance. Translation: protein is the hook, sugar is the filler. And fillers are cheap. Meanwhile, Europe has stricter rules on how much sugar can hide behind a protein label. If these same waffles were shipped across the Atlantic, the packaging would need a very different warning. Why do they call it fuel when it burns out your health? The answer's simple: protein sells. Sugar keeps you hooked. That's not performance food, that's a sales trick dressed in whole grains. So what's the fix? Skip the frozen protein waffle and try plain oatmeal topped with Greek yogurt and nuts. Real protein, steady energy, and no sugar sucker punch. It's cheaper, fresher, and it won't send your pancreas into overdrive. That waffle flex is a fraud. Don't go yet. The solution comes at the very end, and it could change how you choose waffles forever. Runner-up at number 2, Eggo Thick and Fluffy, the indulgent imposter dressed up like a weekend treat. The box shouts extra thick, extra fluffy, like this is the gold standard of frozen breakfast. But what's hiding inside is far from comforting. Fluffy outside, filthy inside. The buttery smell hits first, warm and rich, like a diner griddle on a Sunday morning. But that smell is a cover-up. What lingers underneath is chemical grease, trans fats baked right into the layers. These aren't the light clouds they promise. They're ticking time bombs. Here's the real kicker. Trans fats have been directly linked to heart disease. The American Heart Association calls them the worst type of fat you can eat. And yet, every thick, golden bite sneaks them into your body. Some servings push cholesterol so high, it's like stacking bricks inside your arteries. For seniors, that's a dangerous setup. Mix in common meds like statins or blood pressure pills, and this comfort food becomes a health hazard. But it doesn't stop there. Reports have flagged mold in storage facilities, not the green fuzz you see on bread, the hidden spores you don't notice until you taste a sour edge in what should be sweet fluff. Staff forums have admitted careless freezer rotation, boxes sitting longer than they should. That's not freshness, that's food roulette. One serving can deliver fats that work against your body for days. Unlike sugar, which burns fast, trans fats stay lodged in your cells, raising bad cholesterol while lowering the good kind. For older adults already dealing with clogged arteries, this is like adding fuel to the fire. Europe has gone further than the US in banning trans fats in processed foods. If these waffles were sold across the Atlantic, they'd fail before they ever hit the shelves. So let's ask it straight. Is a few minutes of fluffy sweetness worth the risk of heart strain and mold spores? Why should nostalgia taste like chemicals? That's not breakfast, it's a health bill waiting to arrive. Skip the freezer aisle and make whole grain waffles at home. Use oat or buckwheat flour, add baking powder for lift, and top them with fresh berries. You get the same fluff, real flavor, and none of the trans fat sludge. That fluff is fake comfort. Now, topping the list, the kid-friendly box that's anything but friendly. Finally, number 1, Eggo Mini Waffles, the so-called fun-sized risk hiding in a kid-friendly box. They look harmless, even playful, like the safe little snack parents can toss onto a plate without worry. But that fun size packs a danger that's anything but small. Kid snack or kitchen hazard? That's the real question. Because these minis have been tied to recalls, foreign objects have been found inside the very boxes meant for children. Think about it. You're biting into a golden waffle, expecting syrup-soaked sweetness, and instead, you get shards that never belonged in food. That's not breakfast. That's negligence in bite-sized form. The betrayal cuts deeper when you look past the recalls. A single serving of these minis carries over 400 milligrams of sodium. That's not some big greasy diner platter, it's a handful of tiny waffles. More salt than your heart should wrestle with before lunch. For seniors especially, that spike pushes blood pressure into the danger zone. And if you're on heart meds, the sodium load makes those pills less effective. It's not just unhealthy, it's counteracting the very medicine meant to protect you. The outside tells one story, golden, crisp, inviting. But the inside? Stale, salty, and chemical. It's like biting into a sponge soaked in brine. Former employees on food safety forums have admitted poor rotation practices in warehouses with boxes left sitting too long. That means what ends up in your freezer may already carry that stale edge before you even pop it in the toaster. These waffles are marketed as kid-friendly, yet they pose the greatest risks to the most vulnerable children and seniors. What kind of brand leans on nostalgia and cartoons while sending sodium bombs into households? In Europe, stricter limits on additives and sodium would keep products like this in check. But in the US, they slide right onto store shelves under the disguise of mini fun. Let's make it personal. If you're a grandparent watching your salt intake, every mini bite adds up. If you've got grandkids, you don't want their easy breakfast to come with hidden risks. Why should something sold as safe snack time food double as a hazard to your heart? Here's the fix. Ditch the freezer aisle and make mini pancakes at home. Oat flour, baking powder, and a drizzle of honey turn out treats just as fun, but without the foreign objects or sodium overload. You control what goes in and you keep your family safe. That mini bite carries a massive risk. Not all waffles are this bad. Let's end with 2 that actually are safe. First safe pick, Kashi whole grain waffles. Finally, a box that doesn't bite back. After running through brand after brand of sodium bombs, sugar traps, and chemical grease, here's one that actually lives up to its label. These waffles don't scream health food while hiding a chemical cocktail. They're built with real whole grains and keep additives to a minimum. That's rare in the freezer aisle. The flavor is where you notice the difference right away. Instead of the faint smell of preservatives or that weird chemical steam that lingers in your toaster, you get a hearty, nutty aroma. The taste? Earthy and simple, the way a grain should taste. It's a waffle that doesn't need a fake vanilla cloud to cover up what's inside. A serving of Kashi waffles comes with sodium levels far lower than the 350 to 400 milligrams we've seen in the other brands. For seniors who are watching blood pressure, that's not just nice, it's life-saving. High sodium makes blood pressure meds less effective and keeps your heart working overtime. Keeping it low means your medication does its job without a fight. And what about sugar? These aren't the candy bars in disguise we saw earlier. Some brands cram in 8 to 11 grams of sugar per serving. Kashi keeps it modest. That's a big win if you're managing diabetes or trying to avoid those mid-morning crashes. Instead of burning out your energy, whole grains release fuel slowly. Your body gets steady support, not a spike and crash. You won't believe what's inside, because for once, it's actually decent. Real fiber, real grain, no gimmicks. Even food watchdog groups have praised Kashi for avoiding the shortcuts that keep other freezer waffles safe on shelves for months. Sure, nothing boxed is perfect, but this one feels closer to what breakfast is supposed to be. Food, not lab work. Would you swap fake protein for real whole grains? That's the choice here. You can keep choking down waffles that brag about extra protein while loading you with hidden sugar, or you can grab a box that keeps it simple and doesn't put your kidneys through the blender. For anyone who still feels skeptical, here's the fix you can try. Top these waffles with fresh fruit and a spoon of Greek yogurt. It keeps the nutrition strong, adds natural sweetness, and gives you that feeling of indulgence without all the hidden risks. You'll taste the difference because your mouth won't be fighting past a salty afterburn or chemical glaze. This brand proves waffles don't have to be risky. Finally, something safe in a lineup full of landmines. And our last pick takes it up a notch with clean, plant-based comfort. Second safe pick, Van's Organic Waffles, when stored fresh and right. This is what organic done right looks like in the freezer aisle. No plastic shine on the surface. No chemical perfume hitting your nose when the toaster pops. Just a clean, light crisp, and a taste that actually belongs at breakfast. What sets them apart is the ingredient list. While most freezer waffles read like a chemistry worksheet, Van's keeps it short. Organic flour, a little oil, a touch of real sweetener, and that's about it. No preservatives hiding under fancy names. No artificial stabilizers stretching shelf life for months. That's why you can taste the difference. Fluffy outside, filthy inside? Not here. Instead of the greasy residue that coats your fingers after handling other frozen brands, Van's leaves nothing behind but a light crunch. The flavor is simple and clean, closer to something you could whip up at home. Even the smell tells you it's different. You get a warm, toasty grain scent, not that stale chemical steam we keep running into. Here's the part seniors especially need to hear. One serving of Van's waffles clocks in with way less sodium than the 350 to 400 milligrams packed into many other brands. That means less strain on your blood pressure and fewer clashes with heart medications. For anyone already dealing with high blood pressure or kidney concerns, that matters. Low sodium isn't just a number on a box. It's the difference between your medication working smoothly or your body fighting itself. And sugar? These waffles skip the candy bar act. Where others sneak in 8 to 11 grams per serving, Van's stays restrained. That's a lifesaver if you're watching blood sugar levels. Instead of spiking and crashing, the energy you get from these waffles is steady. That's how breakfast is supposed to work. Fuel, not a fight. Because they don't lean on preservatives, these waffles actually need proper storage. Keep them cold, keep them sealed, and they stay fresh. Treat them like the over-processed brands and let them sit too long, and you'll taste the difference. It's the price of honesty. No fake chemicals holding things together for eternity. And honestly, isn't that a trade-off worth making? Should more brands go organic and drop the chemicals? That's the question. When you taste a clean waffle like this, it makes you wonder why big names still pump so much filler into their boxes. For an even safer fix, you can top these with fresh berries and a drizzle of real honey. That adds sweetness without chemicals and keeps your breakfast in balance. You'll feel the difference because your body isn't wrestling against hidden ingredients. This is breakfast that doesn't fight your body, and that's how we wrap it. Two brands that prove not every frozen waffle has to be a health hazard. Not all waffles are created equal. Some can quietly harm your health. Subscribe now, and I'll show you which brands are truly safe, fresh, and worth eating every week.